Sí, 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 sí. Ya, ok, ok. Ya, ya, ok. Listo. Gracias. Chao. Chao, chao. All right. Okay.
All right.
Can you just quickly,
I will
just
do
give
that.
us your name and title?
Sure, so my name is Lori Dankers. It's spelled Lorie, D as in Delta, Ankers as in Sam, and I'm a TSA spokeswoman for the state of California.
Okay, okay.
I'm just a little too tall for this, I see.
You and those around you safe.
There you go. You probably hear me better that way.
You're good. And
Thank you.
employees are required
All
to
right.
wear face masks.
Do you need me to do that again, or did you get it?
No, no, it should be fine.
Thank
Wonderful.
Can you please tell us about the new security system?
Sure. So TSA has taken steps to help protect travelers as well as our own employees. And that includes the installation of new technologies to help keep travelers healthy and secure. The first one is a credential authentication technology. It's a unit that is able to scan the photo identification of the traveler. It's able to confirm that they're a ticketed traveler, and it also brings up their flight information for the day. Our TSA officer does not need to touch your ID. You're going to be asked to insert your own photo ID into the unit. And in doing so, there's no cross-contamination, no touch point between TSA officer and the traveler. The TSA officer will tell the traveler where to insert the ID, how to do all of that. That's something that's new here. You will see it at airports across the country, but you can expect to see it if you're departing San Diego. The second piece of technology that we have in place is what's called a computed tomography scanner. It's a special type of X-ray that we have that scans carry-on luggage. It produces a 3D image of the bag and its contents, and our officers are able to manipulate that image on screen, and in doing so, they're able to get a better view of the bag, and that reduces the number of bag checks that passengers will have to undergo. Reducing bag checks reduces the possible cross-contamination and touch points, and that will help keep travelers safer and secure. The other thing you're going to see here at San Diego is acrylic barriers in the checkpoint, anywhere where the traveler and the TSA officer come in close contact. That barrier is going to help prevent any type of cross-contamination, and that is a way that we're also keeping travelers secure. So keep that in mind when you come. You're going to see different things in the checkpoint, and all of these have been done without compromising security.
We have this pandemic for 8 months. Today, you just highlight how did you guys come up with, because of that experience, and also because of this second wave that is practically.
That's a very good question. So this type of technology has been in the works actually for quite some time. We were able to make modifications, for example, to the photo scanner for the ID to allow the passengers to insert that themselves. That was the result of the pandemic. In terms of the CT scanners, we've been rolling these out for several months, but we've accelerated that to make sure that we have them in place so that we can potentially reduce the number of bag checks. We're looking at any steps we can take to build traveler confidence so that those who choose to travel or need to travel are able to do so. And that is what's going on here and at airports across the country. Now, we've also modified some of the other procedures. For example, travelers can bring up to 12 ounces of hand sanitizer through the checkpoint. That's more than the usual quantity of liquid that we would allow. But we know that travelers want their hand sanitizer once they clear security. When they're at the gate and on the aircraft and at their destination, they don't want to wait for that checked bag. So we're allowing that. Also, an unlimited number of those pre-moistened wipes that you want to bring through. Please do so. If that's something you want to travel with, we're allowing it. Another thing that you're going to see when you come in the checkpoint is our officers wearing full PPE. They've always worn gloves, but they're changing them more frequently. Also, if a traveler wants the TSA officer to change their gloves, they can make that request and we will abide by that. The gloves will be changed. Everyone will be wearing a surgical mask or an N95 mask. And if they're in close contact with the traveler, they're going to also have on a face shield. So keep that in mind as well. The last thing I want travelers to know is when it comes to using the bins, don't place your cell phone, your keys, coins, any of those items in the bin. That's a common use item. You don't want to potentially pick something up from that bin and put it back in your pocket. Instead, put your belongings right in your carry-on, secure them. That's less cross-contamination and that's better for you as a traveler.
In the time traveling, waiting and you know it has a variation. It's gonna be more time delay, or it's gonna be almost the same as usual.
So we know that over the last 8 months, air travel volumes have really plummeted and they've started to recover. We also know that during peak travel times like holidays, we may see that increase in travelers. Know this, we are staffing to ensure that we can allow for social distancing, not only our employees, but for travelers themselves by opening additional lanes, maybe leaving some lanes empty so that there's not that close proximity to each other. We're staffing to get people through as quickly as possible, but do not let that be a deterrent to arriving early at the airport. Every step's going to be a little different than what you may be used to. And we want to make sure that when you come to the airport, you don't feel panicked or rushed, but instead know that these steps are in place for your safety and for your health. And so allow for that. Now, let me go back to the lines approaching the checkpoint. They may look longer than they actually are in terms of the number of people. With social distancing, less space in the queue for people. So if you come during a peak time, maybe early in the morning, and you see a lot of people in the line, it's not as bad as it looks. We're just trying to keep people separated and just get in line, move through the process. Definitely monitor your social distance. There's great signage here at the airport. You don't know the travelers around you unless you're traveling with your own family or your own itinerary and your friends. So we don't want you getting in close proximity to those individuals. We don't want you in close proximity to our officers if we can avoid that. So just when you come to the airport, plan ahead, follow the advisements, look for the signage, and you'll be through in no time at all, because we really have a lot of capacity right now to screen our travelers.
Maybe one more time.
Sure.
For the time in the future, will this type of security highlights will stay forever? I mean,
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Will this expedite also?
So if we like to think beyond the pandemic, and I think everybody does, these technologies and some of these procedures are absolutely going to stay. We've found that it's either increased efficiency, it's better for our officer, better for the traveler. So we're learning a lot about what we can do to create that environment where people feel confident to come and travel. And we'll keep many of those procedures in place, because if it's better for the travel, better for the efficiency of the process, we will continue to embrace that. The one that's temporary is that 12 ounces of hand sanitizer. But that's not going away anytime in the near future, so please feel free to bring that hand sanitizer in that quantity. But yes, we know that anything we can do to improve the traveler experience now and into the future, we will take those steps.
Anything else?
So on the back there's some tips. I'm happy to go through those tips,
Okay.
just so you have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So,
what
yeah.
you would do to make it better?
Sure. So we know at the airport here in San Diego, there's a requirement to wear a mask. We ask that you wear that through the security checkpoint screening as well. When you come up and have your photo identification verified, the TSA officer may ask you to briefly adjust your mask so they can verify your identity. So wear a mask that's easy to adjust. The next thing we want people to know is if for some reason they don't have a mask and they require a pat down, a TSA officer will offer them a mask. It's important for the health and safety of our employees that that's in place. The second thing is people should familiarize themselves with the contents of their carry-on luggage. Don't bring prohibited items. That's going to cause you to spend more time in the security checkpoint. A step that you can take to avoid bringing prohibited items is to download the My TSA app. That has many features that will be right at your fingertips. One is you can enter the name of an item. It will tell you if that item should be in your carry-on luggage or checked. It also will give you FAA flight delay information, as well as the locations of TSA pre-check lanes in any airport. So that's a great traveler tool. The other thing you can do is you can tweet or messenger, ask TSA with your specific question about traveling, and we'll give you a real-time response to that. That is especially helpful to people who haven't traveled in a while and they're not sure what they can expect. And the last thing I want to remind people is that our officers have taken every precaution to ensure that your security is not compromised during the screening process. So all of these new procedures and advisements are done without compromising security as part of our Stay Healthy, Stay Secure campaign.
You mentioned something on this. If a traveler does not have a mask, you mean that anybody can come in without a mask?
So you're supposed to wear a mask into the airport, and we're asking people to comply with that. We're asking them to keep their mask on in the security checkpoint. If they don't have a mask on, we'll offer one. This airport is so generous, they actually have masks available as you enter the security checkpoint to ensure that travelers can travel healthy. So just keep in mind that for the safety of our employees and the health of our employees as well as the traveler, keep that mask on during the security checkpoint screening, with the exception of when the officer asks you to briefly remove it for the verification of your identification, but please wear that mask.
The reason why I'm asking, because as you see, there's a line, and if somebody without a mask steps in there, and there's somebody behind and somebody in the other side, they could feel uncomfortable if not wearing a mask. So it should be an advisory if, it's a complaint or something like that, something would happen like that, we'll force it?
Yeah, so essentially, we are following the airport's guidance related to masks, but across the country, we're encouraging every traveler to wear a mask during screening. Not every airport has the same advisement as the San Diego airport, but that doesn't mean that you as a traveler shouldn't take this step to protect yourself and protect the TSA employees. I want people to understand that TSA employees are essential workers. They're on the job every day. They've been on the job every day since the start of the pandemic. We need to keep them healthy so they can be here when you need to travel. The steps that you can take include wearing that mask, making sure when you come to the checkpoint that you don't create any cross-contamination, and that you can keep yourself and our employees safe and healthy. That's of utmost importance.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I think that we got it.
All right.
You explained everything. So we're gonna go.
Yeah, we're going to go into the checkpoint,
for the two.
and we're going to look at two things, but I want you to get general B-roll too.
Oh, yeah.
So like I said, the screen's a no-no, but I'll help you get some shots that are working. And in this press release, which I'm going to make sure you have electronically, you click on a link and there's pictures and an animation you can download to use.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
No.
So Fox 5 is parking and being here. Do we want to do them?
So I'm going to take them in first. So if you would do your interview with them, or whatever, and then we'll bring them in, and that way. I just am trying to keep, the exposure.
Before entering the passenger screening checkpoint, please have those